So I'll preface by saying a daily plan does not have to be complicated. It can be as simple as a checklist, but there are a few things that you can do, and I'm going to show you how I've done them in the last few years in order to make it a little bit more structured in a way that's going to help you tackle the multiple areas of your life that are important to you. Okay, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. All right, gentlemen, so check it out. This is my daily plan for today, Thursday, June 12th, as I'm recording this. It's currently about 9 in the morning, and I'm working on this to-do right here. I've already completed these 4 before. I pray and I read scripture every morning, and then I read my goals, and then I get my hygiene taken care of, and then I eat breakfast, all before starting the work day. Let me explain the overall structure of this first, before then diving into how I'm using it in particular for myself. What you're seeing here is called the block schedule. The block schedule, for those of you who are not familiar, essentially what it is instead of organizing your days hour by hour, having an hour appointment, an hour work time, an hour for reading, you organize it into blocks. And the idea is the blocks of your day generally don't change very much. You have the same, as an example, you have the same roughly 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. window where, for me, I get all of my hygiene related things taken care of. I pray, I read scripture, I read my goals, some of the things that I've not committed to daily, but I would like to sort of build up to, push-ups, visualization. And then after those little waking up habits, I also take care of my hygiene, brush my teeth, shower, and then eat breakfast. All of that stuff's done in the first block of the day. And it gives you a window of specific, you know what to be focusing on during that block of time. And then once that block is over, it's also clear to you that you shift decisively over to the next block, which is a different category of tasks. The way that Jordan Page, and I'll link the link to the video that I learned about this idea from down in the description. The way that she puts it is, if you think back to when you were in school, how was it that you were able to make progress across so many different subjects consistently throughout the school year? Well, a big part of that is you have a window of time where it was science time. You pick up, when it's science time, you pick up science, and everything else you set down. You're not thinking about math, you're not thinking about soccer, you're not thinking about your significant other, you're not thinking about your finances. It's time for science, and you're just focused on science. This same exact thing is true for when the bell rings and you switch over to the next thing, then it's time for math. And then you switch over, and now it's time for reading or whatever it is, right? The decisive switching of that category for each part of your day helps you to organize where your different tasks ought to go. And then, just as important as deciding what you're focusing on or going to focus on, in answering that question, you're also deciding what you're not going to be focusing on. And so that helps relieve some of the decision-making fatigue. Okay, so how do I apply this for myself? I've already talked a little about my open block. The next part of my block schedule, I have my work day, which is from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Or actually, I've switched this recently from 8 a.m. more to like 4 p.m., which I'll explain here in a bit. I've got my first block of the work day, which is from 8 a.m. to noon. This is a 4-hour window where I am focused exclusively. In my case, I want to focus particularly on YouTube because that's my biggest priority right now, professionally speaking. So I have that window of the day that's dedicated to it, Monday through Friday, usually Monday through Saturday. And then I've got my lunch block. I have an hour where I generally just eat lunch here, and it doesn't take me nearly an hour to eat, but I can use that extra time I can get outside, take a quick walk, go check the mail, maybe do some reading, whatever I want, right? It's kind of like a break time in the middle of the day. Or I also like to have the option, in case I ever do want to take advantage of it. I don't usually, but if I want to, an hour I think is enough time to go and have lunch with somebody. Like if I wanted to have lunch with a family member, I could do that. All of that can be taken care of in that same 1 hour block of the day. And then I have my wrap block. I call it my wrap block because it's the time it's a subtle reminder that it's time to wrap things up, Xander. You have a specific, it's a work day, right? Do not overwhelm yourself. I ran into the issue a lot, and I still, as a young man, you're impatient, right? When you're young, you don't see any value in waiting for things. You don't see any value in patience. And I still, oh my gosh, I still run into this issue. Here's what would happen, okay? I would get so caught up in a project or a book or prompt. Like I write a lot, and sometimes I'll write. And I just cannot get myself to put it down. And that sounds like a good thing. And I think in a lot of cases it is a good thing to be so fiercely motivated, However, you run into the problem of suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you're still caught up in finishing the last little piece, and you can't do it because nature is forcing you to sleep every once in a while. And so you realize okay, I cannot continue. I must go to sleep. And at that point, it's 2 a.m. You finally get to sleep, and now you've inadvertently thrown away your whole next day because either one, you sleep in, and obviously that throws you off because you don't have any in the morning time that you would have otherwise, and it kills your confidence because you slept in. What a loser, right? But the other thing is, even if you do have the discipline, which is not easy, but maybe you muster the discipline to wake up early anyway and start working, well, that's great. More power to you. However, even in that case, you cannot change the fact that you did not get enough sleep, and so you're not going to show up with your best self that next morning. You're showing up with your 4 hours worth of sleep version of you. And that's just not perfect. It's not ideal. So the point is, coming back full circle, okay? Wrap. What that really means is, okay, this is not just another work block, Xander, Mr. Crofts. This is the time to put a close to things. It's time to begin wrapping the workday up. Close it out. Make things pretty. Give your last little tweaks. The day's coming to a close. The workday's coming to a close. The same idea applies for my closing block, which we'll talk about later. The last couple blocks of the day that I have for myself are the evening is from 3 o'clock, or actually 4 o'clock now, to 9 o'clock. I used to have this as 7 o'clock, where 7 o'clock is where I'd begin my closing block, but I have it as 9 now. I'll write that here, 9 o'clock. I actually don't have my closing block written for this day because I am working at Texas Roadhouse, my night job, and I'm not likely going to be off until 9:30, 10, and so I'll be getting ready for bed later. But generally speaking, the structure is this. From the evening block, if I'm not working at Texas Roadhouse, I'll use the evening block from 3 or 4 to 9 p.m. as time to cook. I can run errands, read, write, whatever, different kinds of planning. But if I am working, that's of course what is going to dominate that block. The idea is I do whatever I need to do, and then at 9 o'clock, the same sort of thinking with the wrap idea, I have a block dedicated to it's time to get ready to close. It's time to get ready for bed. You need to put an end to the day. And so in the closing block, 9 o'clock is the goal on nights that I'm not working. That's the base structure. I'll brush my teeth, wash my face, floss at night, and put my phone away. This is very important. I put my phone away in its home, away from my bedroom, and then get in bed and read before going to sleep. That's the basic structure of a well-planned winning day. The last thing that I want to share with you is because none of this is going to be of any value to you if you don't put it into practice on a consistent basis. So how do you do that? Well, it's important to remove as much friction as possible between you and making it happen. Part of the thing that makes it challenging to apply something like this is if you're just using regular paper, you're going to have to write this anew every single day. And that's going to get annoying. And that's going to make it less likely that you follow through and make it a habit. So what I did, this tool that I'm using, as if you guys watched my last video, you'll know what it is. It's called Supernote. What this enables me to do, I can come over here. I'm scrolling to the right to Sunday. I have this button up here in the top right corner called Templates. I have it linked on every Sunday. If I click that button on Sunday, because Sunday is when I've planned for making, I plan my daily plans, or at least I'll give my outline of the daily structure for my whole week at the end of every week on that Sunday. I'm going to come over here, Templates. This is the page that it linked me to. If I come to pages from this page, I have here listed already Monday through Sunday, already pre-templated for me, so that I can just copy and paste, and I have a base structure for what Monday generally looks like. I wake up at 6 a.m. I have my work day from 8 to 4. I've got my evening block, and then my close block. And then I've got some of the tasks that don't change from day to day. I have to do them every single day. And I have that written for my entire week so that I don't have to write it again and again every single day. This is going to look different for everybody, right? But it's up to you. The beauty is, if you have a tool like this, you can make that templating a lot easier. If it's the case that for you, you don't have a Supernote, because they're not cheap, they're just like an iPad. If you don't have this tool and you'd like to see how I would go about making this kind of thing happen, making this kind of thing a habit without it, just paper, like for $1 at Walmart, leave me a comment in the comment section, and I will plan on making a video on just that. All right. Otherwise, appreciate you guys sticking around. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Nos vemos.